Hi there and welcome to this session. My name is Dave. I'll be taking you through this session, which is Finance for Churches. We'll be looking at getting transactions into Infoodle and assigning them to people, doing analysis on that and reporting, and doing some receipting around that and how to generate receipts, how to do templates. But with all of this, with the goal of having engagement in mind, keeping people engaged and building that relationship, building that friendship, building that loyalty with your community. Right, so this is our demo site. Firstly, what we're going to look at is just quite simply our widget. So if you have got the finance package, you will have a widget that other people don't. What is a widget? On your dashboard, all these little blocks that you're seeing are what we call widgets. You can click and move them around. And you can add and delete widgets. So if I just get rid of the finance widget there, okay, great. How do we get it back? Add widget, and you will see finance there. And this just gives you a quick snapshot of what's happening with the finances. If you've got any Xero transactions that require reconciling, or any transactions really that require reconciling, you can get straight to it from the screen as well. Let's head over to the finance section now. And let's look at reconciling. So there's two ways of getting transactions into Infoodle, and that's step one. That's the critical part. The first step is through Xero. That's certainly the easiest. And if you've got Xero, this is going to take a lot of the extra steps out. So you're reconciling in Xero, the money is hitting your bank, you reconcile to the person, and then Infoodle goes, oh, I see that you've done your job there in Xero. I'm allowed to touch that information now, so I'm going to pull that down as a batch. I'm going to bring down those 5 transactions together so that you can put it against the right person's name and do whatever you want to do with it in Infoodle. So that's the first part. Then if you don't have Xero, that's all right. If you're using a different system or no system at all for your accounting, you can bring in a bank feed as a spreadsheet. Or QIF file is a common one, or you could have just a spreadsheet from another system that you've exported. You can bring that in, a CSV, tell Infoodle how you want to link all of that information up, or you could add transactions manually, which often that's, even when you've got Xero, that's super useful for people that are giving you checks or cash in hand and you're wanting to receipt it immediately. Perhaps you can do that directly in Infoodle at that time. So let's assume that we've got some transactions coming from Xero, and we'll go to reconcile that. Yeah, we can see the transaction information that's come from Xero itself, and then on the right hand side is the Infoodle side. So where do we want these transactions to go to? As you use Infoodle more, Infoodle's going to start creating links, and it will automatically suggest the person that you reconciled to last time. You can also start using auto-reconciling. So as you start to, let's just add that person there. As you start to build all of this up, adding campaign information if need be, you can start to do all of these sort of links. Infoodle will get smarter and give you the ability to start to auto-reconcile these. Once you have done the reconciling and you've chosen is it tax rebuttal, GST, not receivable, how you want to receipt, one-off or combined receipt at the end of the year, to the household or organization or to the individual. Once that's all done, those transactions are ready for analysis, ready for reporting, ready for receipting, etc. So the equivalent of the non-Xero way, getting those transactions in, would be under the transaction side. And as I said, we give you a few different ways to do this. You could just add a transaction manually, create a batch and choose it. We'll just use one that's existing. What date did the money come in? Maybe it was yesterday, Sunday. Who presented it? So who gave us this money? And how do we want a receipt? Do they want a receipt immediately? It's a one-off receipt. Or no receipt required at all, or perhaps it's a combined receipt, which is usually the most common, especially in a church environment, doing a receipt towards the end of the financial year. And how was that money received? So we'll say it was cash this time, and it was for $15. Okay. These blocks that are popping up here we'll ignore for now. That's relating to payments that this person has made via an Infoodle form. So Infoodle's serving those up for you so that you can pay that information very quickly without having to manually enter in this information. Any notes you need to add so that you can remember what this was for. gave to me in hand after church. And what bank account does it belong to? Any account information that you need, campaigns, zero tracking categories if you needed to, but in this case it's just cash being handed to us, and then we can save that transaction. We'll see Infoodle will blink briefly and it will remove some of that information. That means that it has successfully reconciled that to Daniel Jackson in this case, and has blanked some of that information out so that you can very quickly add new information. So maybe Samantha Carter gave us some money, if there is a Samantha in our database. Here we go. And it's remembered some of those other settings. It's remembered the date, the cash, etc., the bank accounts, gave money to me in church, etc. So it remembers that so that you can very quickly just enter in the person, the amount, save it. Next person, Jack. Cash, yes, $20, and save. Very quick to get that information in. There's also the spreadsheet option. So if you are getting information via spreadsheet or a statement, under banking, we've got the statement import. I won't show you this entire process, but essentially again, choose the batch number or create a new one and then upload your file. We'll say it's just a CSV. And then it's going to ask you to define how your spreadsheet looks. Where does information start? Which column has what information as well? And it tells you which fields are required as well. How do the dates look, etc. You'll notice that there's some letters in here. Infoodle will remember the last time you've done this so that you don't have to keep trying to work out which field, which column all of this information is every single time you do this. So it will assume that you're going to use it in the same format, so it will serve it up from the information from last time. Then you can upload, it will double check that information, make sure there's no errors, and then you can go through to the reconcile side of things. So nice and quick. So that's the getting the money in. So that's half the battle done. Then there's the using that information to do reporting, to do receipting. So at its core, let's have a look at Daniel Jackson. And we can see on his finance tab, these transactions that are going through. We can see this one that we've just processed, and we can see that note that we've got, and we can see that amount. And under the receipt side, we can see there's no receipt number here. No receipt has been given. So that's a quick view. We can see previous years as well if we wanted to, or we can see all as well. And we can also, it breaks down by the ones that are waiting to be receipted versus the ones that have been receipted. And we can see those receipt numbers, and we can also view those receipts if we wanted to from this page. There's also pledge information if you're wanting to do that. If you are handling pledges, there's giving numbers if you've got that. So in this case, Daniel does have a giving number of 66. This is particularly useful for people that write their giving number on an envelope rather than writing their name, so that you know how to receipt it. And we'll look at how to sign one of those. And then some basic donor analysis. How has the money been coming in? Has it been regular, etc. As far as giving numbers go, that's all under the finance section. Giving numbers. And we can search for that person there, or we can search by the giving number. So his number was 66, or we can just search by his name. And we'll see everyone in his household or organization showing up here and their current giving numbers. Why you'd want to see everyone in the household is because sometimes you've got couples that are giving together, and so they want a single receipt with both of their names on, in which case we use giving numbers for that because they are giving as a single giving number, a single giving person. So we could say, okay, Daniel and Samantha both need that same number. We can go update. And now when I go check Daniel again, we'll see that they both got that same number there. And then Infoodle also asks you, how do you want to generate those receipts? So at the moment, it's a receipt is issued combining the names of the other people sharing this number, meaning it's going to say Mr. Daniel Jackson and Mrs. Samantha Carter in this case. Or if they both had the last name, it would say Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, or Mr. and Mrs. Daniel and Samantha Jackson, depending on formatting. But you can also say the donation is split equally amongst these people. So sometimes the husband's giving $50 a month, but the wife is giving $100 a month. Now they could combine that, but some couples prefer to split it evenly. So 150, so $75 each per month essentially. And they want a receipt in their own name separately with that 75, so it's nice and even for claiming purposes. So Infeudal gives you multiple ways to process how you do the receipting for these people. And if we actually go to the receipt section, we can see here a number of different settings. The first thing to be aware of is the filtering up top here. This is very critical, both of these blocks here. You can't find the receipt that you need. It's probably because one of these settings are wrong, or when you generate the receipt and it's only showing you a single transaction, or it's showing you too many transactions. It's again probably because these filtering settings are incorrect. So at the moment we are not showing each transaction. So if someone's given 10 times, we are only showing combined information. We're showing it all together. If I was to tick this, it will split up and we'll see Daniel Jackson, Daniel Jackson, Daniel Jackson. It's now splitting it up per transaction, which is fine if you are looking to go, okay, where's that big figure there? Okay, this guy wanted a single receipt and I can do it immediately at this point. In most cases, you'll probably be combining them. And then when to issue the receipt. Are we wanting to just bulk issue all of the receipts? Or are we specifically looking only for the combined ones or only for the one-offs? So you can look at all of that, or you could search for a particular person. So let me find all the transactions and receipts for Daniel Jackson. And how we get our single result here. You'll also notice that this is now saying receipt to D Jackson and S Carter, and that's because they are sharing that giving number. And it's got that total there of $220. If I was to quickly go back to that giving number there, let's find Samantha Carter again. And let's give Samantha a separate giving number. We'll just allocate the next available number there, and we'll update that. And we'll go back to our receipting. You'll notice now Samantha Carter is separate there and Daniel Jackson separate there, and we've got those separate amounts. Likewise, if we go back to Samantha one more time, we give them both the exact same number of 66 again, and update that. Just double check that again. Right, they're sharing the number, but this time we're going to change the donation is split equally, and we'll update that. When we go back to our receipting section, they are separately annotated here, and they've got a separate amount that is even. So we can send that perfectly split receipt to each person, addressed to each person. Finally, the receipt template itself. What does the receipt template look like? So you can have more than one receipt template. You can even have seasonal receipt templates. So maybe you want around Christmas time to send out something that's got a bit of snow in the design, or maybe a little bit of different terminology. So maybe you have a Easter event, a youth camp, for instance, and you're doing separate fundraising for that for the youths, and you're wanting to send out a receipt explicitly for that. So you want your receipt to be worded differently, you want it to be designed differently, so you can have more than one receipt. So let's just have a look at what this one looks like quickly. We'll let that generate. You can just have text on the screen, or you can make it look a little fancier like this one here. We have some graphics as well. So here we can see the person, and we can see those amounts there broken down. We can see the date information, etc. And we can add personalization. So the dates there, we can see the name, we can see 110 New Zealand dollars written in words there. So you can get it all personalized and operational in your receipt right there and then. This bottom section is auto-generated with one personalization called tax receipt. So it gets most of that information that you need for a legal receipt, certainly in New Zealand. The only thing missing is a signature to make it a completely legal document at the moment. Because we're just generating preview, the receipt number currently says sample, so this isn't legitimate, but when we generate it properly, then we'll have a unique number generated by the system that you can't alter, you can't tamper with. The system records that for auditing purposes. So it's all handled by Infeudal for you. To manage these templates, we can go here and we can see we've got two different templates here. We've also got two different designs. So if we just look at that template we were viewing a moment ago, let's have a look at how it's made. So it's all done by this text here. And then we've got the graphic element or the design as well. So we've got this date of transaction. We've got dear full name. Thank you so much for donating to Healing Hands International of total in words. So that was the 110 New Zealand dollars written out. And then just the generic message here. And there's our tax receipt at the bottom there. All of these personalizations, these curly bracket personalizations, can be found on the side here. So these are general personalizations, household personalizations, person custom field personalizations, and receipt information as well. So stuff relating to the receipt itself. So that's where you're going to find all of that. Now, you could get away with date, hi, thank you for your donation, and your organization information and the tax receipt, and be done with it. But you would be missing out on a critical moment to reach out to your community, to your church, to tell them how this money is going to be used, tell them the good that it's going to do. Let them know about the building fund as well that they can donate to. Let them know about the missionary work that you're doing. Let them know some of the good works that you've done previously with this money. Encourage them to claim this receipt through IRD and then give the money back to the church again. So there's a lot of opportunity here that we see again and again with our customers that they aren't utilizing, especially because receipts are something that pretty much everyone looks at. It's something that people open. They want to see it. They want to see the big grand total. And when you send general emails out to people, some of them get opened. Some people ignore them all. Some people only open half of them. But receipts, there is a much, much higher open rate and view rate than any other email communication that you'll see. So this is a fantastic chance to make people aware of important information. But what we also see is some people shoot themselves in their foot. They realize, great, I know people are going to read this. I need to get all that information out. And they make these huge long emails, huge long receipts. And people see that and they go, nope, too much. I'm not interested. Where's the total? There's my total. Great. That's all I care about. So don't sabotage your opportunity here. You've got a great opportunity to reach out, to build loyalty and convey information. Keep it short, keep it sweet. Think about 1, 2, maybe 3 key things you want to express and keep it succinct. This is a very, very powerful tool at your disposal, is your receipts. So that's the receipting side of it, very important. And then we've got the reporting side of it. We'll go to our report section, create a new people report, and we've got these add financial criteria. Now maybe we want to say, find me everyone that's in our donor group or in our newsletter group or something like that has donated over a certain amount. So we'll add some general criteria relating to a group. And I'll just select a event group in this case, which has 101 people. So if I don't do anything here and generate, I'm going to find that I've got 101 people. Great. But let's also find who has donated more than $5. So we'll go add financial transactions or criteria, and we'll say total amount is greater than $4.99. So that means $5 and above. And if I generate this again, we'll see now we have 9 people that have come up. Infoodle's giving us some default fields here, so that's not necessarily useful unless we were just looking for a particular person. But maybe we don't actually care about the people, we just care about the figures. So down below we've got all of our financial information, total amount by activity, and total amount by criteria. So the difference there would be if we are selecting by maybe a date range and we're saying show me more than $5 this year. It will then show you this person did $52 this year, this person did $12 this year. But then total amount by all activity will look at the lifespan. So although it was $12 this year, it was $120 over the course of our interactions with them and our history. So we'll do total by criteria this time. I'll just have a look there. And here we're getting all those people with their figures and a total there. We're wanting to see names. We could add names as well. We'll just do first name. And now we're starting to get a breakdown of what we actually care about. Apparently Daniels loved giving money. So these reports are super useful. You can export them as a spreadsheet so you can use them later. You can add these people to a group saying good donors, good givers, whatever it may be. You could save these reports for later if you ever want to see an updated list in 6 months' time. Let's see, has this increased? Have we got more people that are getting engaged with us? And finally, we've also got report schedules. So this is super useful if you wanted to have an updated report emailed daily, weekly, monthly to a set of people. So once a week, I want to see who all the new donors are that have met that criteria, and then I want to welcome them or something to that effect. So you can see that sort of information there. In the sense of tithing, you probably wouldn't explicitly want to note who's been tithing and who hasn't and go point fingers at them, but you may want to see who has been tithing for the last 3 years but has stopped over the year, because there may be some sort of engagement program that you've got or outreach program. Or maybe as a pastor, you don't care about the people themselves, you just care about, in this report context, you just care about seeing, is there a trend of people that have stopped giving in the last year? So we've got 1,000 people that gave in the last 3 years, but this last year we've only got 50 people. Okay, that's quite a difference. So do we want to talk to people about that? Do we want to raise these sort of things? Or perhaps we are just doing a general report and want to show that we've gone from 50 people over the last 3 years to this year 1,000 people. Show them how that works. Maybe you're open with your finances and you want to bring that as an AGM to the church. So the reports, however you want to use it, you can ask that sort of question. You can get that information at your fingertips and you can display it, use it, and manipulate it as you need to. Finances are very important in a church. You can't go blindly there. Having some sort of indication of what's happening and being able to receipt accurately is very important for the management of the church. So Infoodole's here to help you with that process. And if you have any questions, do use our help section. We've got a ton of help documentation, but we've got a number of help videos as well. A full dedicated training session on finance, a whole hour-long training session that is very detailed. We've also got a dedicated training session on the receipting side as well. We've got lots of content there, as well as a lot of free live webinars that you can register as much as you like on infoodle.com, so utilize those as well.